live, guys. What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And we've had this young gentleman on the podcast before in a little different setting. I think the last time he was on, he was actually fishing with somebody, pre-fishing a lake. And so now we get to see him inside four walls instead of out in nature. But guys, if you don't know, I'm Colin Burnett.
That's right, Colin, and I'm Norman Lee. But you know what we got going on first here? We have to talk about our sponsor for tonight's episode. This episode is brought to you by Bruiser Baits, baits made for fishermen by fishermen, family owned and operated with one goal in mind: to build premium quality baits that are proven to put fish in your boat day in and day out, from soft plastics to jerk baits, crankbaits, flat out tungsten weights, apparel, and a whole lot more. Plus, if you like throwing top water walking baits, you have got to check out their all new Dirty Dancer. Go to their website at www.bruiserbaits.com and make sure, don't forget, use our discount code at checkout, DeckTalk10. Again, that's bruiserbaits.com. Don't forget, use our discount code at checkout, DeckTalk10. Man, Colin, you are right. We have one heck of a show, and this actually is this cool cat's second time joining us to just talk fishing. But anyway, let's give this guy the intro that he and I do mean well deserves. This is his second time joining the show. This is his second time joining us on the Deck Talk podcast, coming off the greatest rookie season we have ever seen in professional bass fishing. His stat sheet is nothing less than amazing, finishing 14 times in the top 30s, 12 times in the top 20s, 8 times making it all the way to Championship Sunday, and 2/3, 2 seconds, and a win on Lake Fork, crushing the Century Belt mark with over 130 pounds. The youngest angler ever to qualify for an Elite Series, the youngest angler ever to hoist a blue trophy, and now he is the youngest angler ever to be crowned Rookie of the Year. Carbondale, Illinois' hometown hero, Trey McKinney. What's up, man? Got a little tongue-tied there on the intro.
Little tongue-tied,
it's all good.
I made it all the way through that.
Yeah.
Man, how has life changed for you, brothers, with the Rookie of the Year? Or has it even?
Rookie of the Year is a special thing because you only get to do it once. I mean, that's like anything else. You only have one chance at it. That was the biggest thing for Rookie of the Year for me, was to be able to actually, come over all the drama, be able to make it through, look past a lot of the stuff that had happened this year. And it was good. We had to think of the positive side of everything. There was a lot of hate out there this year, but with me and the Lord, and I know me and my family is on the right path, so I didn't really have anything to worry about. There was a lie detector. I was like, come on, bring on the lie detector. Exactly. I feel good in my heart. I know I didn't, purposely I did make a few mistakes. But like I said, we took the penalty for them and we owned up for them. But no, this year been a great year. The main thing about this year is how much I've learned, how much I've matured, how much just there's a lot of things that go into this year that make me as a better person, a better angler, a better, sponsors guy, a better on the business side. Everything like that is this year has been huge is being able to kind of understand how the business works, anything else like that. So there's been a lot changing over this winter that I'm excited about. So that's gonna be pretty cool. But no, it's been an unbelievable year, and just to see the people that have actually truly, been behind me. Anytime I see somebody in public, and if they do recognize me or something, they're like, "Oh my goodness, we're having a good time, having a good conversation." That's really cool. You like that part of it. You never seen really the negativity ever. I never had somebody come up to me with any kind of it was always positive, it was always exciting, always a good conversation. That's kind of like why I want to do it. That's it's special,
Yeah.
and it's been unbelievable this year for a lot of the fans. A
Yeah,
guy had sent me like a shirt
Oh, we
or
were
something.
stoked
It was
about it,
like,
brother.
that's
yeah,
awesome.
it's been awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Trey. One thing we all learned about you this year is you fish, and for a rookie, this is extra impressive, but you fish very well under pressure. And going into that last and final event, going into it before the event started, there was two or maybe three rookies that had a shot at bringing home the Rookie of the Year title. And
Yes, sir.
knowing going into the last event, you had to finish in the top 10 to lock yourself into winning it. Basically, if you finish in the
Yeah.
top 10, you were locked. There's nobody that could overtake you, and
Yep.
you killed it in that last event. And I don't know your exact. I think third,
Yes,
was
sir.
it?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
mean, have you always been? I mean, we know you've been fishing tournaments for a long. I want to say a long time. You're only 19, but you've been fishing them for ever since you were a
Yep.
kid. Have
Knee
you
high to a
always?
grasshopper.
Exactly. Have you always been able? Do you find yourself always been able to fish well under pressure, or does that come sort of natural to you?
Well, my bad, my phone fell. But
You good? You good?
the pressure part of it is, it's huge. Like, like a lot, if you can't fish underneath, pressure, or having a rough day, not waking up right. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into fishing, but over my, like, people's gonna say career, whatever, how long I've been fishing. Um, I've been really good about trying to cancel everything out. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what's on the line. It doesn't matter what's going on. You got to go out and you got to catch five. You got to catch the biggest five you can. Then you got to come all back alive to weigh in. Like when you really try to, now don't get me wrong. There's always that like little whispers like, oh, you can't lose this one. Don't suck. Like, come on,
Right.
Trey, you got this. But
Yeah.
there's always going to be that, like in those really tough times, like the last tournament of the year, so forth, and a lot of stuff like that, where you have those nerves just so built up, and so it is. But I try to cancel out as much as I can, and honestly, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, so I know how I use if I don't use it as fuel, I know how quick anything can get to me, and I'm like
Yeah.
kind of thinking of like an edge, kind of like if I can turn that into positivity and going and going and going instead of being worried or second guessing myself or like something like that, I can turn it into just go mode, and
Right.
that's kind of like a little strength, if you're like in the top five and somebody has something go wrong and it spins them out. A lot of times that can cost you a day. Like that, I mean,
Yeah,
it could sacrifice everything. So
Yeah.
the less of that I can do, the more consistent I'll become. And that's one thing I'm trying. I want to be known as a consistent angler. I don't want to have, I mean, it'd be all everybody's gonna have ups and downs, but if I can just ride that line and kind of stay consistent wherever I go, that's my biggest goal anyway.
yeah,
Learning how to
Yeah.
catch them all over
yeah,
instead of having like one tournament out of nine that I'm like, I like that one. Like
Right.
that's
yeah,
what I'm really hoping for. A lot of these like herring fisheries are still. I don't like a lot of those like Hartwell for this next time. That's going to be an interesting one. Like places like that. But I am excited for like Fork's going to be so different though. Like it's not even going
yeah,
to be the same
Oh
lake.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because over there, what, a month and a half later than what y'all were there last year, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, we we ain't gonna get into that. We can't talk
Okay.
about it. Not talking
Okay.
about it. It's over. We can't talk about that one. But I am excited about that one just because I could catch a 10 pounder if I
yeah,
got lucky.
yeah,
And then like
Yeah.
lacrosse, that's the one I'm looking forward to. It's like because I just like running dangerous water. Like you
yeah,
go back here and you go back and you hop this sand flat and you go over and it gets deeper and you cast your frog up there and one just like all over it. Like that's what I live for. So
yeah,
hopefully
Yeah.
that'll be a good tournament.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I've told um, a lot of people this, and Norman and I were talking, and I told everybody that I've talked to about you. I mean, because from the get go, from last year, like the rookie class is always kind of like, all right, we got to watch these rookies coming up, and so from tournament one this year, I was watching the rookies, in which Robert Gee just lives right down the road from us, and
Hmm.
so, but so I was kind of pulling for Robert just because he is a fair, like a
Yeah.
local person to us, but and I told people, I was like, they said, what do you think about Trey McKinney? And I told them, I said, he's a fisherman. I said, we're going to find out the kind of person that Trey McKinney is. I said, somewhere in the season, there's going to be a bump in the road. We're going to
Yeah.
see how that bump in the road is going to affect him and if he's going to keep his head straight or if he's going to just bottom out. And after you had that little hiccup in the middle of the season and you came out of it just plowing. And after when I seen that you come out of there just plowing, I told everybody that I talked to, I'm like, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I
Yeah.
said, it's going to be closer. I said, he might have done this just to make it a little bit closer race so where it looks good. I said, but he's going to win. I said, because he had that little bump in the road, Trey, to me, is where I started seeing you mature over
Yep.
the year, and that's exciting to see, especially somebody that is your age, and to be able to have that bump in the road and be able to succeed after it because you learned from it,
Yep.
and anybody that says that they go and fish into a tournament and don't have like a season and don't have a bump in the road is lying to you. And it just depends. You just on a bigger platform than what we are, so people get to see it. So more people know about your bumps in the road than what they know about ours.
Yep.
And how you came through that. I mean, I got to commend you and
Yeah.
your parents for. I mean, because that shows that your parents did raise you right to where, hey, let's we got a job to do. Let's work, and your work ethic is phenomenal on it. I mean,
Oh, thank you,
even
bro.
what the last time that we were on, you was like, man, I'm not really fish these northern lakes. I don't know how I'm going to do. And then you go up there and you do what you did. I mean, it goes to show that I mean you put the work in and you were able to pull it out. So I
Yes, sir.
commend you for it, brother.
It's pretty special. Like that's the thing that of anybody asks me like, what's the biggest accomplishments of the year? Like, I can't really say I have one, but like I have two. Of course the fork, but on top of the list it is St. Lawrence. Like just to be able to kind of like figure that puzzle out that I've never had like confidence doing. That's like a special thing. Over the year. That's probably the biggest accomplishment to me was St. Lawrence River. Just having the confidence now that I can catch them if they bite, and I just got to
Yeah,
find them, and I can truly compete up there. That was a special thing to me. Almost having a century belt of smallmouth, was unbelievable. Like
yeah,
that's something that I never even thought about. Do like smallmouth, like century? What? Like no, I didn't really ever think about that.
yeah.
So it has been. It's been so special just to be up there and getting that confidence that I need to where now when I go back to a northern fisher, I know I have the capability of catching them. I just can find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the biggest thing that you learned this year that you can take in the next year to we got Trey McKinney 1.0. What's Trey McKinney 2.0 that we're going to see next year to be? I mean, because I just see, I mean, you got a bright future. I'm ready to see you at the Classic and instead of, well, I mean, we saw you at the Classic last year and we talked to you, but I
Yeah,
don't want to see you. I don't want to see you at the Expo.
that's what I'm
And
talking about.
so but well, I want to be able to do. We're going to be at the Classic this year, and I want us to be able to do. We're going to do media day. We're going to make sure we're going to come and holler at you for a minute.
Yeah,
But I want to be able to come and see you after the Classic, and And hopefully being able to see you hold up instead of a blue trophy, hold up a wooden trophy. So,
Now that would be crazy.
Yeah.
speaking
That would be.
of the classic trophy and stuff, and or the Ray Scott trophy, is that Ray Scott behind you
This
in that picture
this one?
with the cowboy hat?
No, that's my dad.
Oh, okay. Because like from here, it kind of looks like how he always wore that cowboy hat. I see
Yeah,
it now,
Yeah.
yeah.
but kind of. All I can
You
see is
never
like
know. It
part
could
of
have
his
been.
face,
Yeah.
and I was about to say, man, guys, he's even got Ray Scott on his wall.
Oh man, that's
Never
awesome.
know. It's worth a shot.
It was. So, but so what was the biggest learning curve that you can take into next year to be able to succeed again?
Learning curve. Like, this year fishing is going to be one of them things where everything has to progress every year. Now we're trying to, the live scope, trying to take that away, whatever else like that. Then it'd be a little different. But, either way about it, however you think about it, every year it's going to have new and better, not technically new and better things. A lot, I still throw the same stuff that I threw 3 years ago every day, but I feel like little tricks, little ways of working baits. So like anything that I can be on top and have it and find out before these certain guys do, and have that edge for even a half
Yeah,
year or a tournament or a two tournaments.
yeah.
That's an
Or even
important
a
thing.
day can make a difference. So,
Very true. Yes, exactly. Having that learning fish behavior, or basically not so much that is having that gut feeling, having the confidence in myself. Next year, whether we do good, whether we don't, I'm a lot more comfortable. I'm gonna take more risk because I know like what can happen. I'm not, I understand a little bit more how everybody operates, how the tournament rolls, just how it goes on the road, and especially that like just fishing some of these lakes. One year fishing, I know we didn't go everywhere, but we pretty well did. We went Florida, we went Texas, we went New York, we went everywhere in between. Like it gave me a good sense of having that gut feel when we show up to a certain part of the country. I at least have that like okay, like okay, now it's starting to feel right. Like
right,
so it's really not certain things. I feel like it's more or less just kind of a feeling that this year
right.
kind of really helped on. It's more
Yeah.
or less just trying to learn as much as I can, trying to have that feeling and have the confidence. The confidence is the
Yeah.
main thing that I'll have away from
Yeah,
this year, just feeling comfortable. I feel like it's going to be a big thing for next year.
yeah,
Yeah. Are you
yeah. And
planning?
there's
Are you planning on
going on.
pre-practicing? Are you planning on pre-practicing any events this year before off limits, or you
Yeah,
gonna kind of keep back on?
I'll do as many as I can.
Yeah.
I most likely all of them.
Yeah.
But if not all of them, probably all
Yeah.
of them. Honestly, like just
And
to see, unless something crazy happens, and I don't get to it, I got to come home for a little bit or
Yeah.
something. Because it is like I was home for I don't know, probably not quite 2 weeks
Yeah.
last year
yeah,
from
Yeah.
January 1st to August or
Yeah.
September. Like
Yeah.
that
and
gets that's a
Yeah.
long time. Like I miss my
I,
yeah,
buddies, I miss, everybody like that. Like that it wears on you. And that's something that,
yeah.
how long can I do it for on that spectrum of just being by myself for ever? Like the only
yeah,
100 people I get to see are the 100 people fishing the tournament.
Yeah.
right,
Like, and let me tell you, I don't want to see them all the time, trust me.
Yeah.
And most pleasant. But either
yeah,
way, it's just like we got that. That's like a whole learning curve. But
Yeah.
it is. It's a cool lifestyle. I forget Rick, the guy that kind of mentored me at first. He's like, I don't know if you know what lifestyle you're choosing. I'm like, you can't be that bad. Like, come on. And then like you realize how much traveling and
yeah,
like what it goes to it. I'm
Yeah.
like, you were kind of right.
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of people
So
don't realize too. I think when we had you on the show last time, you were saying you have at that point you haven't been home to see your family, and I think it was like
Mhm.
what five,
since
six
this
months.
tournament started,
Yeah, since the
he
Yeah.
season
didn't go.
started. And a
Yeah,
lot of people don't realize, man, a lot of times you're basically a truck driver as well as a fisherman. I mean, you're
Right.
on the road pulling your boat more than most people's in their vehicle going back and forth to work.
Yeah.
So
Exactly, and that's
yeah,
like a lot. It is. It's just so much, traveling for. It might be a 2 hour travel, or it might be a 15 or a 20 hour travel. It
yeah,
just depends
Yeah.
on where you're going. But it is. It's a wild source of lifestyle.
yeah.
Well, can I give uh, maybe a little bit of advice for you at Hartwell?
No,
Um, no.
no, that'd be against the rule.
Oh, I thought even. Okay. Okay. Then never mind then.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
say
Because I
anything
thought
about
it
that.
was.
it was. It used to be, but everybody was yelling about the rule, and so they changed it.
Yeah, because I thought it was after cutoff period, or you can't get any kind of from cutoff. My bad. I didn't.
Nope, it's
So then I won't. Then I
yeah,
won't
you're
say
all good.
nothing.
Yeah, we can't talk about
So,
nothing because they changed the rule at first at the beginning of the year, which I don't know why. I don't know why they changed the rule, but either way, they changed the rule, and then everybody was up in arms about it. Which technically, I feel like this is just me speaking. Like, I don't know, but like I feel like you put more of a field at a disadvantage reversing the rule and allowing
yeah.
25% of the 100 to gain that information in that 2 day. Now, it's not the end of the world. 2 days is not the end of the world. But let me say, like, if you're talking
Right.
about everybody felt like they were at a disadvantage, that's even more. I feel like stick by your rule that you made.
Yeah.
Next year, fix it. Like I feel like it's kind of like that's how I felt about it. But you don't know. There could be a lot going on,
Yeah.
but everybody was up in arms about it, which I understand, but I feel like it kind of hurt 75% of the field because I never got to call anybody because I was
Right.
working
Right.
shows for 3 days up in Minnesota, and I flew down to Florida. I never called nobody, nothing, and I already know people that did, and like, just thinking of that, like that already put so many people
You
out
was
of
at the
like
this event. Yeah.
exactly like that's the
Yeah.
thing like. So it's an interesting way of how they done it, but either way, it's
Yeah.
done. We
Yeah.
wouldn't have jobs
Because I
without them. So
well, and I'm glad that I asked instead of just going on and telling you what I was wanting to tell you,
yeah, me
because
too.
I yeah because
If Colin slips
I
up, just hit that mute button really quick.
I just
yeah
dropped.
yeah earmuffs,
Yeah.
but but yeah, what I mean, to me that's kind of crazy. I mean, because when you go to, I mean, and it has to be hard, especially like when you go to like a local bait shop or something like that, just to kind of just to go pick up something. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to be able to like. I can't, I mean, because people are going to talk because they're going to be like, man, this is Trey McKinney. And let me
Yeah.
tell him what I kind of stuff that I know, what's going on,
You
and
don't you
Yeah.
don't
which
only
I
get
can
that
understand.
you don't
I
only
can
get that at the bait
understand that
shop.
though.
You get that at the
No,
gas stations, no matter where you
yeah,
are. I mean, and what's your best way of basically just being very nice, saying, "Look, ho 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 ho." I can't against the rules. How do you
Yeah.
tell somebody when they come up to you and start talking?
Exactly. Like that's a hard thing because even if you like say you want to sit around a campfire and talk fishing, whatever else, you can't do it.
Yeah,
But you can't like
yeah,
it
yeah.
lies if
yeah,
it's not anything.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, you're wanting to fish, you're like, oh my
Yeah,
bad, change the
yeah,
subject.
yeah,
So it kind of sucks on that point because that's pretty well all I know. If I'm gonna talk, it's probably gonna be about fishing. But another thing, like around the gas station, if somebody like comes up to me, usually I'll let them go till if I hear a lake name or they're like this body of water, and I'm like there, I'm like, hey,
yeah,
just FYI, I can't get any information on the lake, but like we can still talk. I'm not trying to shut you
yeah,
down, but I
right,
can't consume any information about this
yeah,
body of water. And
yeah.
they'll be like, oh man, whatever, like I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, but I don't
Well,
know. It's
I mean, and that's, I mean, again, I think I'm kind of with you on that aspect. I mean, I can see, I mean, because from now until whenever y'all fish whatever lake, things going to change 100 times in between now and then. And
yep,
so, but, I mean, so, but I can understand. I mean, they're trying to make it as level field
Yeah,
as
yeah,
possible. Um, but with speaking of that, you kind of brought it up a little bit, and I don't want to stay on it too long, Trey. But
Yep.
the forward facing sonar deal, it's and I got it like a two-part deal question for you. Um, First part is what do you think about the changes, and is it going to affect you with just only having one transducer? And then my second thing is, and I guess it's more of a statement wise, just my opinion, because people say, well, these rookies, all they know how to do is just look at a screen and fish. Well, if people, they must not have watched the season last year, because y'all beat them in the dirt with even going shallow and not even using them. And but then when it come time to use it, you was able to beat them in the dirt still. Um, so and again, it's just my opinion. I think that, I mean, even if they would have went to no transducer, forward facing transducers and stuff like that, y'all still gonna be out there hammering people. And because again, even though y'all have an advantage because y'all grew up with it, and the older guys did not grow up with it, and so they're having to learn in the motion when you grew up with having all the technology in your hands. And everybody knows that if you can't get into your phone, you just give it to a kid and they're going to get into it. But um so but my opinion is it didn't matter what Bass or the Bass Pro Tour or whatever decided, that y'all are good enough to even that you don't even, I mean, does it help you out to find fish? Yes. It doesn't put the fish on that hook and don't put them in the boat for sure.
Uh-huh.
Um, but again, kind of going back to what is your thoughts on that, um, with only going to one transducer, and is it going to affect your fishing for next year?
So yeah, one transducer won't affect anything. One transducer won't affect a lot of people, unless there's quite a few people out there that had like crazy setups. Like I had a crazy setup. I had two off the back, and two off the front, but I never used my second one on the front ever. Not one time. Never
Right.
turned it on. Not all year. Never used it. So on the front, like it's not going to affect that because I never ran it all year. I ran the one Ford transducer all year, and the part about like yes, the younger generation grew up with it, but at the same time, the older generation got it first. So it's
Yeah.
like
And I
it's
haven't
like
thought of that like that either. And
yeah,
you are
like
completely right.
exactly. It's a hard thing because I understand it. Like it's easier maybe for us to understand once if that's like if we first started fishing, that's the first thing we started to learn. Anything else like that, but a lot of times, like, if Garmin first come out with it, the pro staff was the first one to get it.
Yeah.
Like first one to test it on. So they've had it for, a really long
Well, they
time. And
had it
it's not been
years before the public
exactly.
could even get it.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's like they've had it plenty long enough to learn it. But it's not so much, and I don't want to say it's kind of a choose not to type of thing. Maybe I kind of feel like. But I mean I don't feel like live scope should be banned in any way. I mean when I some people come up to me and he had a good point. He said like, well, when I think of bass fishing, he said there's either two ways to look at it. He said, oh well, you're the best, like you don't have to use it, so forth. But another way I kind of look at it is like when I think of bass, I think of leading edge, I think of the best guys, I think of the best technology, I think of the best ways to catch them, the best techniques, stuff like that. So that would also
Trey
You
froze.
there?
You there, Trey? There he is. We got him back.
okay.
There we
I
go.
don't know
There
what's
we go.
going. Yeah, I got my Wi-Fi and everything, but no, I feel like the live scope should be. I mean, this year's great. You have one. It's less clutter. You don't have a lot of the stuff. It's simple, but I kind of like it. I feel like we should just go like this year, kind of go to some Arkansas River, lacrosse, three or four places that you if you want to use it, you can use it. But see, I use active target or live scope a lot to just cast. Like not that I'm like looking at him and I'm like watching him lick it and then like I move it a little
Right.
bit and then I can see him eat it. Like a lot of it is like I'm panning around, and so if I'm panning around and I'm fishing, I have to throw somewhere, right? Like I got to throw
Yeah.
somewhere around me. So why not would I like for what I do is I pan around and I find the roughest bottom, or I find the most contour, or I find a lay down, or I find something like that. Like it's not so much that I'm looking for fish all the time. I'm just looking for the best cast. Like if I
Yeah.
can pan around and it's all mud, and all of a sudden I pan around and bam, there's like a rock or a hard spot
Yeah.
or something like that. Automatically I'm gonna cast there. Like that's a lot of time. I use it for time management, being precise, being efficient, and being able to hit what I want. That's the biggest thing for me with live scope. It's not so much, hey, I'm gonna go chase this one fish. He gets hungry, and then I'm gonna catch him. But
Right.
it's more or less just the efficiency part of it. When I go fish brush piles, I don't want to have to learn each brush pile to line it up with a telephone pole and that tree that leans crooked and throw right there. Like when I'm trying to practice and hit so much that it's so much nicer when I can go be efficient, make my two casts, whether I see a fish or not, and move on. And like a lot of fish this year, some of my biggest fish I caught on any like live scope, ag target, I never saw. Like they're either like sitting next to a rock, buried up in a pile. There's a lot of fish a lot of people miss with it because that separation between the bottom. Now, every once in a while, you'll see it where it's really good, where if my drop shot's sitting on the bottom, I can see everything work going on. But a lot of times, them fish can hide from you big time, and in like shallow water cover places, stuff like that. But it's and I feel like if we went without it, I'm speaking. This is my opinion, but I feel like some of the rookies wouldn't be as deadly. Like me, a certain tricks that I've learned that has made me, push up to the top 10, something like that. So not, I feel like checks, absolutely, like absolutely, but feeling like it would have to be a tournament that I understand or something like that. Absolutely, we all have the ability to make a top 10, but it would have to be that fact that we understand we have the right pattern going for definitely hurt a decent amount of us. Just having those little tricks, having those little places that we could pull up and catch another 3 or 4 pounder in a day's
Yeah.
time. We might not have that as
Yeah.
many times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really think Bass actually came up with the best solution to the rule going into the next year. I really never would think before the three top series came out with announced the rule changes. I never would think that there's going to be any of the series that was going to completely ban it, and I guess that's how much I know because one of them did.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
Bass Pro Tour, I mean, you pretty much say they almost did. I mean, one period out of three, two of the
yeah,
periods you can't even use it. So I really think Bass came up with the best solution out of the three top series because I don't want to see it go away. That's my personal feeling.
yeah,
I think under contrary to what a lot of people says out there on the social media platforms, I think it's good for the sport. It's a good learning tool.
yeah.
If nothing else, we're learning stuff about how the fish act, how the fish relate to baits that we would have never known prior to being able to see them in real time.
And
So, but
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I think Bass actually did come up with the best out of the three top series, came up with the best solution to the rule.
And the thing about that is, like, people don't realize fish are going to adapt. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like, and it's never been like, hey, you just cast out there and they just, nah, nah, nah,
Right.
they just numb it,
Yeah.
they just smoke it. I mean, do they sometimes? Yeah, they do. But, like, a lot of times it's not like that, or 90% of the time, or 99% of the time, it's not like that. But, like you said, I feel like, MPFL, I feel like it was a smart move for them. I feel like
Yeah.
for them, it's going to give a lot of guys a home that they didn't have right now, and they can just
Right.
they can go over there, and everybody
Yeah.
it's gonna satisfy some, and maybe some will leave them, but I know a couple that it would be great for them, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody it'd be very good. It'd be dirt. I can't say that word, but either way,
Right.
it's a big word. I can't. Big words are hard for me, but either way, it's like. it kind of separates, and it gives a equal happiness to some
Yeah.
people. So hopefully
Right.
that'll be good. I mean, we'll find out this year whether their numbers spike, whether they get more people watching. I feel like it'll be a lot of hype the first year. I feel like a lot of people will watch, but it's interesting what's going on right now. I feel like the industry is just so, everybody's worried about tearing itself apart. Like everybody's after somebody. Like I can't wait for the day that we get back. It gets back in the groove. Everybody's happy for everybody, which that's life. I don't know if that
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's hard to please no matter what you're doing, but hopefully it'll just come down to feeling like you're doing the best thing for the sport,
Right.
feeling like this decision benefits us as a whole instead of like,
Yeah.
so it's like anything else. It's very biased. Like if the younger generation, which it kind of, the younger and the older, if the older has an idea, it's to benefit them, and for us, it'll be like, oh, that's for their own benefit. And then if we make a decision, it's kind of the same way. It's for our own benefit. So it's hard to meet in the middle too. I mean, I get it because it's such clash, but
Right.
hopefully at the end of the day, everybody, this next year, flying. Hey, I'm not the rookie anymore, so I'm gonna be like that guy. Get it? Like, so hopefully that not everybody be after me, and I can sit back and just watch the show. But
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting. But I think
Yeah.
next year's gonna be a good year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we believe so as well. Just because, like what I was saying, just how you matured over the last part of the season and being able to pull it off. Uh, we believe. I mean, you got a lot of positive stuff going for you, and you got a career that, I mean, we think that's gonna. Which, I mean, we're just two flunkies that love to fish and love to talk about fish, but we think
Exactly.
that you got a career that's going to be a long awaiting.
Yeah.
I mean, that it's going to be there for a while for you. But I want to kind of say something. You said something about the forward facing sonar, that we've been able to learn fish habits and what they're
Yep.
doing and stuff, with that. And one thing that I've learned, uh, with forward facing sonar is like, if I'm fishing, like, we fish the Tennessee River a lot,
Yep.
and but if I'm fishing like a main lake point, and I've noticed with the forward facing sonar, like, really the fish are really not going anywhere. That I've
Hmm.
noticed, like, what they're doing is like, you got the point here, they're coming swinging by the point, and when they get to that point is when they're eating, and then they'll just loop around like this and just circle, and by the time they get back to that point, it's eat time again. In which we would used to just go up to that point, and if we don't get a hit, we're like, oh, there's no fish here.
Not
And
biting.
but
Yep.
and so with that, the forward facing sonar, we're really kind of able to kind of track, to kind of see where they're at. Not the fact that you're
Yep.
going to catch them in 40 foot of water, but um, all right, well, they're still, we still got another 40 minutes until they get back to this point. Do we want to kind of fish away from this point, or we want to sit and wait on them?
Yep.
And so that's one thing, like, for me, that I have learned, uh, with watching the fish, and that's one thing that I've really enjoyed is watching how they react. I mean, I've been more upset with forward facing sonar than I've been happy with it, because
Yeah.
you see these, and, like, from what I've got, the Lowrance Active Target 2,
Yeah.
and what I figured is, what if I could see a fish that I can see the tail kick on it, it's at least a 4 pounder.
You need to
And
catch them.
so, and I see this tail kick, and I get all excited, and I see it come up to the bait. It even follows it all the way up to the boat, and I'm like, just hit it, come on. and
Yep.
and they don't do nothing. And then I'm like, I'm getting more frustrated with it than I do. So
It
what
is.
y'all can
Yeah.
do with it is phenomenal. So
It is. It's hard. Like I mean, the thing that I like about it most, like a lot of times anymore, I just get over it. Like a lot of the ones that this is like a rule at certain lakes when it's tough. The ones I see, I can't catch, but the ones that I don't see, just eat it like instantly. I'm
oh
like,
yeah.
what? Like like I'll just
Or
be
you just
hovering
see
my
the
jig.
bottom just come whoop.
Exactly. You don't see them. I'll just be hovering it above the bottom, and all of a sudden it'll go. I'm like,
Yep.
that's what I'm talking about. Like the thing is about forward facing, I feel like definitely should be like you got to limit it at some point, like
Yeah.
100%. Like we didn't need 25-inch screens, front, back, center console, and the deck. I get that point of it. So like I said, I think Bass a great decision on it. So that's another thing because it had to be at some point. It was getting like 6 transducers on one boat. That's a little much, but I do get that part of it, but it is like it's so hard sometimes. Like I've been to some fisheries that, heck, after halfway through the day, I don't even want to look at it. I just want to shut it off and go throw it something I can't see because I can't. They won't buy it, or they'll just get grouchy, or they'll just follow it. Like a glide
Yeah.
bait, I've watched. It just, oh my goodness, it makes your
Yeah.
mind want to just
Yeah.
explode.
I tell you what.
And
So
I tell you what, though, with 55 inches total screen, size for how many units we want to use next year, you're only allowed, I think, 55 total inches of screen. I think Taku's boat's probably going to weigh about 40 or 50, 60 pounds lighter.
oh,
I think
big time.
I think Taco
yeah.
probably runs about 150 inches of screen.
Yep, it is.
That's
And
on
I
the
think
light side.
I forget. That's what I had. I think I had like 66 or I think I had 76 inches of screen this year
Yeah,
on my boat. So I mean, it is a decent amount less, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run like a 16 and then 312s.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
set 212s on back, a 16 and a 12 up front. Simple as can be. Very clean looking, not have to worry as much. I think the main thing what they done on the inches deal is safety. I feel like a lot of time, I feel like that's the whole purpose behind the 55-inch screen. Because at the beginning of the year, they measured ours. I feel like it's something to do with insurance, stuff like that. I feel like it's kind of definitely a safety net for because I mean if you can't see somebody, it's not the other guy's fault. Like if you just
Yeah.
play and run over somebody because your grass too tall, unfortunately it's definitely your fault. So
yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the
See,
thing I feel like a lot of times what a lot of people have done for.
yeah. Because Tennessee passed a law um, where you cannot have a mount sticking up above your trolling motor, and so
Yeah,
because
believe
of
it.
that,
yeah,
so
Exactly. Yeah, I think insurance and like kind of the like safety wise, I feel like it was a big threat of it of why they changed it
yeah.
back.
yeah. So I want to I want to ask you. I'm going to ask another question, but then I want to kind of get into what you've done since you the last tournament. But
Yeah.
is there a product from your sponsors that you can talk about that may have been in like iCast or something like that? That's a new product that's coming out to the public that you're excited about.
Trying to think of stuff that I can talk about.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. I knew, and I should have asked this before when we had you before we started, but
No, you're fine.
so you could.
I'm trying to think of something. I mean, this year this year to be honest with you, I kind of stuck to my guns. Um, there was a few baits that come out that was interesting that I thought looked good, but this year, honestly, like I never threw anything. I threw a Strike King Z2 minnow, and then I threw a baby structure jig. I threw a Strike King Ocho. I threw a glide bait a little bit. And honestly, like a jerk bait, threw a jerk bait. But other than that, like I didn't really try anything else new a lot. Up smallmouth fishing, I had
Yeah,
a few things that I tried that worked really good, but other than that, like I didn't have any of those hot new things that I was throwing, all over the place. It was kind of just a bounce between
right.
jigs and a Nico or like a drop shot or kind of a minnow style bait. But no, this year, hopefully this next year is going to be interesting.
Yeah,
But yeah, this year really I didn't have anything that was like on fire for me.
Right. Now, I want to talk about because you've done some interesting stuff and found out some stuff since the season's gotten over. Um, and which the big thing, I mean, when which we talked about it beforehand, was fishing for Team USA. That you're going to be able to fish for Team USA. How did you feel when you got that phone call saying that you was going to be able to fish for Team USA?
It was pretty crazy, like realizing that I'm about to leave, Sunday for Quebec, Canada. It's pretty wild. To go fish, with Jacob Wheeler, Tyler Williams, Scott Martin, a whole bunch of us, and that's a special feeling. You get to like, it's pretty cool. You get to go fish for Team USA. Like, like
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool feeling. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting place. I never fished up there. I'm not gonna have my boat. But it is going to be a fun time. I feel like they said that fishery's good. They say you're going to get lots of bites, and I'm a person that likes to catch a lot of fish. So hopefully, I get a lot of stuff nibbles my cricket when we go up there, and maybe hopefully we can figure something out. See if we can beat all
uh,
the other people.
yeah, and I mean, because I mean, there has been, I mean, what we consider legends in the bass fishing has been able to fish for Team USA, and then now that you get to say, I'm getting to fish for Team USA, so I mean that has to be an honor in itself. And
Yes,
then
sir.
now you're getting to fish in places that you wouldn't have ever thought that you was going to be able to fish, and so and hopefully and bring home a trophy for Team USA as well.
Oh,
That's
a
what I'm thinking. I want that. I
gold
want to
medal
take a
around your
bite
neck.
out of the gold thing, like how they do Olympic people. I want to
Yeah,
try it.
yeah,
So, but I also seen to where you've been out shooting some birds.
I
And I
have.
want to talk a little bit about doing some hunting. So, do you just are you a deer hunter, or are you just strictly just birds?
I'm pretty well everything that has a season. Like I got property deer. I haven't found one that I really want to shoot yet. We got a few nice ones on the property. We'll see what happens when it comes in the rut. Maybe I'll find one that I
Yeah,
feel like's a shooter for this year. But no, love dove is always fun. It's always a good time to gather with your buddies, go shoot it with the family. Dove's great. I love dove. Turkey hunting, I just don't get to do much anymore because I'm always fishing now.
fishing.
You know, duck hunting is kind of my passion. I love, duck hunting's kind of consuming. I love it. You go out there with your buddies. I travel from, actually this year I'm going to fly home from Quebec, and then I'm going to get on a plane with everything and fly to Saskatchewan and go up
Oh,
there
nice.
for a goose hunt. And then I'll come back and I'll probably, a few of my buddies will start in, Missouri, go Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, depending on what's going on. It's I love it. It's a good time. Like for me, I have that fire at the beginning of the season. I think it's because of duck hunting.
yeah,
I get out of the fishing thing, I let it
Yeah,
rest, I let it build, and I go and I do what I enjoy. I love. It's nothing about it, and it just you just roll, and I get
yeah,
that fire back. And then at the beginning of the season, when I touch that rod, I'm like, oh yeah,
oh
like
yeah.
yeah,
it's getting that time. So duck season and hunt season is so important to me.
yeah. When I
Yeah.
was on the phone with you a few weeks ago, you were actually in Canada dove hunting, weren't you? And how did that go?
It was good. I think we killed a really good amount. It was fun. I think with most of us, it was only four of us a day hunting, but it was a good time. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know where in your neck of the woods, there's enough cornfields around to be able to shoot you some doves. So,
There is. A lot of people cut silage. Well, I have a little field here at the house that it's got a high line through it, and we'll bush hog it, real low to the ground, and it's crazy. You just bush hog it, and the doves love it. Like every year. Next year, I want to try to plant. We're gonna till it up, plant sunflowers, stuff like that. See if we
right.
can get it going
yeah,
crazy. But we had a really good time this year shooting them.
Yeah. So, is there a place that you would like if Trey could go anywhere to go hunt? What are you wanting to go? I mean, you can go anywhere in the world. Where are you wanting to go and hunt, and what are you going to hunt for?
It'd probably be somewhere like has a lot of options. Like, um, I like hunting in Mexico. Mexico's fun. I've been down there, quail, duck, stuff like that. That's amazing. I want to go to where's it at? Where's the place that everybody goes to shoot like 1,000 doves? Um,
Um,
it's right
oh
here on the
shoot,
tip of my tongue. I think it's like South America or whatever.
yeah.
Trying to think. I'm
Is
trying to
it?
think where it is.
I was going to say Brazil, but I know it's not Brazil.
No, no. It's
Uh,
it's it's right. It's on the tip of my tongue. If I think about it, I'll tell you. But if I can say it, it's over there. It's like they go over there, and it's like the thing like you get like a patch after you shoot so many. I know a lot of people just went over, but one of those places. I've always liked to go. This is gonna be my first time duck hunting in Canada, so I'm really really excited about that. I've heard a lot of things about it, and I might not want to leave. I might just be like, just leave me here. Come pick me up later on. So
yeah,
we'll see.
yeah. Now, have you ever had sand crane?
Sandhill Crane.
Yep.
Yep, I've shot some of them down in Texas. We had a quite a few good hunts down there. They're an interesting fella. They're very smart. They're very big, and they're hard to miss up close. And
Yeah,
they are good eating though. They're the
yeah.
filet mignon of the sky.
That's what I was about to say. I've got a cousin that he's just an outdoorsman, and I mean, he just loves to be out on the water or out in the field. And he tells me, he's like, man, Colin, you have got to try the sandhill crane. He said they are the
Yeah,
fillet in the skies, and I'm like, there's no way. And then I mean, I've talked to multiple people about it, and even with you just saying it, that I've got to try it. And so
it is. Like
we
I'm telling you
have,
like this. We went out in the field, killed them, got them, cleaned them, got everything, got it right. We didn't even let it sear, nothing. We took it, breasted it, brought it in, cut it in strips, put it on the skillet. Um, I forget what we added. Not very much. Only a few sauces, and cooked it about medium. Put it on a deal. Ate it. Phenomenal. Like a
man.
duck, I'd have to let it sit in like broth for about a year,
Oh
and hopefully it'll be about hopefully it's good. But
right.
like it's not like that. Like you can eat it right off. It's probably I like crane, speck, and then teal. That'd be my list. I feel like
Yeah,
honker would definitely be last. Definitely, yeah, honker's last. But I think it'd definitely be speck or crane, speck, and then teal. Those are my
Yeah.
yeah,
favorite to eat. If I'm gonna eat one, it's gonna be those.
right. So I mean, we see with being in the Chattanooga area and stuff, they're migrating through, and I mean, you can hear them from miles away coming. But
Yep,
and then usually they're way up and they're flying. They got about 50, 60 of them in a group. That's always. But
yep,
every time I see them, I'm thinking like, man, there's dinner right there.
exactly.
so
It is.
so hunting with you is kind of a good little breakaway from getting off the water and kind of getting that mind reset. In which a lot of the anglers and stuff, I mean, that's how they are. Uh, they're always they talk about they can't wait. They don't want the season to end, but they want the season to end just so they can get out in the woods.
Yep, it
And
is, and it's kind of like depressing right now because nothing's really in. Like deer season's coming, and like the doves that like we most of ours left. So now I feel like a bum. I'm like sitting in the house, like just getting all my like calls and like paperwork and all that done. And it's like this is like the first like week of the year. I'm just kind of like just let loose, just
yeah,
kind of just
but you need that though. Your body needs
exactly.
it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Waking up late, stretching, taking a shower, getting upstairs. My mom's already like, "You've done wasted half the day." I'm like, "I'll get out there in a little bit."
It'll be all right.
But yeah, it's
yeah,
been really good.
yeah. Let's see. Brenton says duck season started this Saturday in Minnesota. And
Looks like I'm
so,
gonna have to come
which
up
I
there.
know, uh, or Bo just started here in Tennessee this past weekend, and
Okay,
so
Velvet.
no, that Velvet was 3 weeks ago
Wow,
to maybe a month ago, and
wow.
so the guy that I ride
Good.
with at work, uh, he's a big hunter, and uh, he didn't go out for the velvet, but he's been out quite a few times here this past week. Every time he gets a chance, he's been out there trying to get. He's got an 8 pointer that he's waiting for it to come walk right in front of
Yeah,
him.
absolutely.
So, but man, Trey, man, I can't say enough of how proud that we are of you,
Yeah.
and I mean, and we're thankful for you to come on again, and I mean, it means a lot to us. And again, I can't. We'll see you here in Texas at the Classic, and uh, talk to you at the media day. But I'm ready to see what you're going to do in the Classic, and just I mean, just from seeing what you've done here this past year, I'm excited for you for this next season, and I know which we got. Josh says, "Can't wait to see next season. What next season brings. Love watching him." And so, um, and then we've had other ones saying that they enjoy watching you and seeing how you've grown here the past year. So, uh, but I don't want to keep you too much longer, Trey.
It's all good.
And but is there a place that, well, I'll say this. I was surprised when the schedule came out that there was not an Alabama lake on that sucker. Were
Yeah,
you
I mean,
surprised?
I know this might shock you, but I'm not really an Alabama fan. Like I either like I don't know. There's 500 boats on the water every morning. Like you could try to beat them to the ramp, but they're like always there. Like it don't matter.
Yeah.
I could wake up at 4 and there's still 10 people at the ramp. Like I don't get it,
No.
but it's just. I don't know. Alabama is just one of them places. It for me. I haven't really understand it. Like Gunnersville, I'll fish Gunnersville quite a bit, and somehow magically, I always, tournament day, everything just changes. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, what's going on? Like, and there's 10 boats sitting on my one spot that I thought I was going to catch them. I'm like, oh, nice. But, you know, I think it's because of fish care. I think a lot of because I know like when we would go there, it would be hot, and it would
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it this year was I feel like off Bass's response for that. I feel like it's on fish care. I feel
Yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
moving us kind of either south and north just enough to keep it kind of spread out where that water never gets too hot for us. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the big thing they're trying. I feel like is why like if they might do one next year early or something, but I feel like
Yeah.
this year a lot of people complained about that the Smith and Wheeler tournament because it was
Well,
I could have cooked an egg on my latch in my boat like it was that hot.
well,
It
and
was
that was
bad.
the thing. The 2 weeks that y'all were on Smith and Wheeler was the two hottest weeks of the years that we had, and I mean, and Norman and I were talking about it, and which we're out on the boat 4 or 5 times a week, and but being out there, y'all are out there every single day, and it was cooking. We came out there to do, and we talked to you at Wheeler, and I mean, just standing there, not being out on the water, we was just standing there by the stage. I
Yep.
mean, it was all you could do. I mean, you had to constantly keep on drinking, and I could
Yeah.
understand the fish care. And I was surprised that there wasn't uh, any kind of like there. I was really expecting to see dead fish come in. To be honest
Yeah,
with you,
I mean there wasn't that many, of course. There was some, like part of it,
yeah,
but that's like the thing. Like a lot of people know, like fish cares everything. If we want to catch them again, we got to keep them alive. So a lot
yeah,
of people take it very seriously, but there was some, but it's just kind of, I mean, that's part of it when it's that hot. And I feel like that's
yeah,
one thing they're trying to avoid, whether they do it earlier or later or however next year or not next year, but next season. I guarantee we'll be back. It just depends on if we can find time to like not get it that hot.
Yeah,
And all I mean that's
yeah,
just due to a scheduling thing, like it'd be
yeah.
simpler to
That
schedule
would
either
have been a
early or
good
later.
time to head north. Was when that time was happening, and
Very
so
good.
when the the temperature and the water temperature is that hot, how do you take care of the fish? What is the process that you go to? Do you have ice that you keep on it, or do you have was it that G juice or something like that that
Yeah.
people? Um,
So there's a lot of different ways. Fish long is a really good way. I don't have one. Wish I did. Lots of ice. So the main thing, this thing you got to keep in mind, if you're gonna put ice on them, you better have plenty of ice. Like you better have ice that you know you can maintain it. Because if you just be like, oh, I got a bag and a half today to keep my fish alive, this is great. No, they're gonna die.
yeah,
Because
30
that's
minutes.
like the whole purpose of it is you put the ice in there, they get them all nice, cozy, perfect. Well, it starts to heat up. You got nothing to keep it down. So they can go hot to cold, but they can't go cold to hot. Okay, so that's like the really important thing. If I'm put ice on them, I know with every single bone in my body that I have enough ice to keep at that temperature. So what I'll do is I'll
Yeah.
add usually like I'll have like 5, 6 bags of ice. I'll put 4 bags of ice in my cooler, and then I'll put 2 bags of ice in either side of my live wells. Close the lid, close the live wells, let that cold water get in there. When it fills up, it automatically cools it down to a certain degree. I dump one tank in each, or I split a bag, and then I have 3 bags the rest of the day to keep it that same ice temperature.
Right.
So if you're gonna put ice on them, you better make sure you got plenty. That's the big thing. And
Yeah.
then I add G juice or anything else like that. Usually in an 8 hour day, I refill. So I'll start the morning, halfway through the day, I'll drain the live well, refill it back up, and then restart my cooling process as well on that. So I literally have as much ice as I can possible,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just to make sure that I can keep them alive good.
Right. Yeah, because we have you heard because we had oh shoot, I can't remember what his first name is. His last name's Gurgley, but he's with
Shore life.
Shore Life,
Huh.
and he was telling us that putting a bottle of hydrogen peroxide in the live well helps with putting more oxygen into that water. And when it gets into the hotter temperatures, he says that that peroxide will help with, and it kind of seals up their like the skin and stuff to where, and
Yep.
they're able to coat with the hotter temperatures in the live well with the peroxide in there.
That's like I said, that'd be an awesome process. I'm gonna try it sometime. Like just having little techniques like that to keep them healthy is everything. So
Yeah,
that'd be an amazing thing. Honestly, I could see how it could work,
yeah.
especially if you had
So
one bleeding. If you had one bleeding,
yeah,
I feel like it'd clot it right up.
Yeah.
and that's what he was saying too was that that peroxide has so many benefits to it that it will clot it and do everything else, and then kind of and
Yep.
keep that
Yeah.
the slime and stuff on their body and stuff. It'll help with that as well. And so I was like, I've tried it on Chickamauga. I didn't try it this year. I tried it last year, but it did not get as hot. I mean, especially didn't get as hot as what y'all were fishing. So I can't say that it helped or did not help. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's his job, and I mean, if he's trying to, he wasn't even trying to sell us on his product. He was just like, hey, I just hey, if you just put a bottle of hydrogen peroxide in it, that it
Yep.
helps it out a lot. So
Absolutely. That's a good trip and a good tip too.
yeah. So we've had you on for over an hour, and I don't want to keep you, but we got one last question, which we've already
Yep.
asked you the last time that we had you. You can go with the same answer, or you can go with a different one. It don't matter. But Norman, go away with it.
That's right, Trey, man. We really appreciate you taking the time again, Trey, to spend talking to us tonight. And it's always a blast, always a pleasure to be able to talk with you. And it's going to be interesting to watch you next year, Trey. And it's going to be hard to kind of one up what you actually done this past year. But if anybody could do it, my man, you're definitely
Yeah.
the one that's going to be able to one up your performance last year. Um, but for all of our viewers too, we are live every Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week we have a great episode coming up. We're going to have Bass Pro Tour and Pros Dylan Hayes and Jacob Wall is going to be joining the show next week. So again, we're live every week Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But anyway, Trey, second time around asking you this question, my man. If you were to be able to have one person on your boat, now this person could be passed away or still with us, who would that person be that you want to fish with for the day, and why would you want to fish with them?
Hmm. Trying to think. That's a good question. Trying to think of somebody that I would want to fish with. I'm trying to think. I'm getting there. I want to think of something spicy, something good. Trying to think of something.
I
Hmm.
just say last time you said, was it Jerry, your mentor? I can't. I might have his name wrong, but the guy, the
Rick.
older
Yep.
gentleman, you said you'd want to be fishing with him.
Absolutely.
Um,
It would 100%. Like he's done so much for me. Just helping me out in life. Like anytime he wants to go fish, I'm like, let's go.
let's go.
It's like the thing of it. You take it for granted. How much certain stuff means to you. One day I'm not gonna be able to. One day he's.
Yeah,
It's part of it, and it's sad, really. So anytime, every day I can get with him, every extra day I can get in a fishing, we always go. And that's one thing that a lot of people like. I try to, and the sad thing is like my mom hadn't been fishing with me all year just because I've been gone so much, and I'm like, we got to change that, like we got to go
gotta go.
or something, like that's just like it because
Yeah.
it can. And I'm young. I haven't seen it all. Like I don't know a whole lot about life yet, anything else like that. But I do know it can go quick, and that's one thing that I want to make sure, take everybody and kind of soak in the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, you can't get better than that. I mean,
Yeah.
and the thing is you've realized that at a young age. I mean, I didn't realize like how precious life was until I had a daughter that was born with brain damage from lack of oxygen, and and then when they told us that she wouldn't live to be a year, and she lived to be 14. So with when you have that kind of stuff happen, then you realize how precious life is, and to
Yes.
see that you realize how precious life is, and that and just a drop of a hat, that, I mean, it could be done for with fishing with whoever, and it may not, it don't even have to be fishing, but I mean just life in general. Just goes
Exactly.
to show how mature that you are, and again, your parents has done one heck of a job with raising you, and and keeping that head straight on your shoulders. We condemn you for it, man. It's just
Well,
Yes.
thank you, buddy.
Exactly.
so.
Yes, sir.
But guys, this fat boy is hungry, and so we we're gonna have Trey come back on here. Let's try Norman. Trey. Let's try to get it maybe after the classic,
Okay.
and hopefully, with saying that with the classic, we can say
We can just hold it like
Bassmasters
this.
Bassmaster Elite Rookie of the Year and Classic winner. I mean, because
Yeah.
there's not
That'd
too
be
many people that
crazy.
hold that. So,
Yep. Let's
but
do it, man. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Well, thank
guys,
y'all for having me on.
Yeah,
yeah,
Trey, man. We
anytime,
appreciate it,
brother,
buddy.
anytime. So, guys, thank you for watching. We had over 1,400 people watching. Make sure, hey Trey, real quick, can you tell them where they can follow you on social media?
Absolutely. So like now, I'm working. Whoever wanted, I'm working on YouTube. We don't have it right now, but we're going to. Okay, we're getting there. But right now, I have Instagram, which is Trey McKinney Fishing. And then it's same thing on Facebook. It's Trey McKinney Fishing. Both deal very active on. We're gonna be keeping up touch. We're gonna be posting some hunting photos, some fishing photos, some it's gonna be a good time. But hopefully moving forward, I'll do something kind of like a lifestyle, YouTube channel is what I want. I want to shoot for it. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it'll be interesting, and kind of just show you a little nitpick of kind of what happens in my crazy day sometimes.
Sounds
That's
good.
awesome, man.
So, guys,
Absolutely right. Thank
go.
y'all.
Oh, in fact, but guys, go check out his social media. Go follow, share his stuff to where it get him out a little more. I mean, he's done it well enough on his own to be able to get himself out, but let's just grow his platforms and hope to see you out on the water and have a blessed one, guys.
See ya. Live the passion.